Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Zig Zag, which is a way of looking at some of the things that are happening in the book of Revelation. How we move from earth to heaven, and how the end times judgment begins to unfold, and yet as it does, we begin to discover, as bad as things are on earth, God is alive and well and working in the heavens. And we're given this as a pattern that reminds us over and over again of just exactly what God's doing and how He's doing it. And so we open today, once again, on earth. And if you remember, last time we took a glimpse into heaven, there was a worship service, a unique worship service that was taking place, unlike any other, that was really setting the stage at the throne of God for the beginning of what we call the tribulation. Now we move forward into Revelation chapter 6, into chapter 7, where we begin to see what is the seven seals. The seven seals. The camera pans back to earth in this part of the book, and we begin to see that the seven seals are now being opened, giving us the course of events composing the first part of the tribulation period. This is the beginning of the outpouring of judgment. It's not good. It's not pretty. It's certainly not going to be fun. Serious business. Because God is now holding accountable those who have done what they have done and is bringing judgment on the world. So while we have this going on earth, we immediately take our zigzag again and we end up back into heaven. The passage rockets us back as these seals begin to be opened on earth, and in heaven we see in Revelation 7 through 9, 7 through 9, the next phase, the balance to it, where the great multitude begins to assemble in heaven. The angels, the martyrs of the tribulation, all begin gathering around the throne of God. So as bad as this is, and as bad as these things are, and as bad as the events on earth are unfolding, then in heaven we are reminded that God is in charge, and all those who are killed along the way, the martyrs that have died because of their faithfulness to God, they're now gathering around the throne with the angels, because while this is happening and this is dark and bleak, in the midst of it all, God is being faithful and keeping His promises to those who love Him. And they are worshiping and celebrating. It's a huge contrast. I think that if we could see and understand and put history into perspective, there are some moments that seem so dark that if we could see how they fit into the big picture, it wouldn't be quite so dark. Doesn't mean they're easy, but might help us as we face them and we're reminded of God being in charge. And I think this is that zigzag that reminds us of that, because when we take a look into heaven, we find out that all of these folks who have paid what we would say is such a high price for their faith, and it is, now find themselves in the presence of Jesus Himself, which ultimately is better than anything they've ever known. That's the contrast. And once again, we find out in the ebb and flow of the book that it moves from this dark moment, and the zigzag takes place and puts us into a realm where we begin seeing things that we can only dream of and we can only imagine. And so we'll pick up there again next time in our next episode. But until then, you keep studying and you keep outlining, and you see how this fits into your own study as you zigzag your way through the book of the end times, if you will, the book of Revelation.